Sego, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and thank you to the Algonquin Nation for allowing us to meet on their lands. Thanks also to all of you for understanding the importance of peace in our lives and our future. In my Mohawk community, we use the word peace often in our greetings. Gana, peace. Ganagoa, the great peace. The founder of our league, known as the Iroquois, the League of Six Nations, was known as the peacemaker. Our Constitution is known as the Great Law of Peace. It guides our dedication to mutual aid, to sharing, to resolving conflict in non-adversarial ways. The symbol of our unity is the great tree of peace, and our style of counsel, which seeks consensus. Well, the theme of the talks today is peace through diversity. Well, you know, our people, the Indigenous peoples of this great turtle island, as we call North America, have always welcomed diversity. We've cherished it, in fact, so that the gifts of all creation could be expressed. Respect for diversity is deeply ingrained in our culture, in our languages, our traditions, and our histories. Our respect for diversity goes well beyond humankind. In fact, it includes the diversity of all creation. All of our councils and our meetings are still to this day opened and closed with a Thanksgiving address, Ganyo, that puts us at peace not only with each other, but with the Mother Earth, the creatures, the waters, the plants, the air, the birds, the clouds, the moon, the sun. This is our way of looking at the world in which we live, with all of its beautiful diversity. That is what, in our view, peace is all about. And we continue to seek ways through which our responsibilities for stewardship can be exercised, and the sustainability of this creation I've talked about can be restored. You know, building peace through diversity is a whole lot more than creating a place that's free of violence. Real diversity, for me, exists where differences are appreciated, embraced, and where we are all enriched as a result. We all know societies around the world where there's great diversity, but the power is only held by a few. Or where it looks like there's apparent peace, but it's through oppression and injustice that it's been created. I suggest that when we speak of a society of peace and diversity, we have to speak of justice and equity. These are vital ingredients. I am not at peace when I see Indigenous people denied justice because we are considered so inherently inferior that a whole theory of law is based on something known as the doctrine of discovery. Discovery? I am not at peace when so many of my sisters and our daughters are missing and murdered. I am not at peace in a situation created by Canada's history where our children, because of inferior schools, poverty, and racism, don't have the same opportunities as other Canadians. Only 4 out of 10 of our young people in First Nations graduate from high school, compared to 8 or 9 out of 10 other Canadian students. So in my work at Indspire, a registered charity created by and for Indigenous people, we are working to change that picture with the help of many Canadians and governments and corporations. None of our young people should be denied their opportunity for lack of funds to go to school. I am so strongly committed to this work because it's obvious to me, interesting that Adrian said this, education is the key. Nothing else will change in our communities and in our relationships unless and until our young people have an education. They then will be able to contribute their rich contribution to Canada and realize their true potential. But we've been caught in a pretty vicious cycle for decades, and we're not going to be able to move forward until we take on that challenge. Right now, our cultures, traditions, and languages, which helped us to survive through centuries, are disappearing like the melting snow. Many of you know the history of residential schools, created so that our young children were taken away from their parents and forbidden to speak their language, then all in the name of education. Well, those cruel methods are no longer used, it's true. But the fact remains we still today do not have the right to educate our children in our own languages and ways that are appropriate to our cultures. There's a difference, you know, of many of the newcomers who've come to Canada. There's a place their children can go, learn the language, learn the culture, and succeed. What's the matter with Indigenous children? Well, Canada is our homeland. Our languages are spoken nowhere else. Our culture thrives nowhere else. This is where it must survive. This is where it must thrive. This is where our traditional knowledge must be cherished and kept. So this is a challenge for us we're also taking on, Indigenous people, creating change, creating curriculum, creating a change school through an institute that addresses these issues. You know, we do have solutions. As much as we see of the tragedy, there are solutions, and we're working hard to be heard. The goal? Ensuring that our children have a fair chance to get a higher quality education, just like everybody else, but as Indigenous people. I think the biggest challenge facing Canada today is whether we are willing to support Indigenous communities as sustainable communities. That is the way we will be able to support our young people to develop, to enrich this country with their diversity and their gifts. But Canadians have to make a choice if this is going to happen, that they want a future in Canada with sustainable and healthy Indigenous communities. To all of you, I say let's make this choice together. Within our grasp is the power to shape the future of Canada, a peaceful Canada, a wonderful, wonderfully diverse Canada. That future, in many ways, depends on how we rebuild, heal, reconcile. You've heard a lot of reconciliation talk and commitment. Reconcile to the original relationship we envisioned when Indigenous people first told the settlers, let's share with each other. Let's each maintain our own identities, our languages, our cultures, our knowledge, and let's work together to build a wonderful future for all of our children. We are so well positioned to create this change. I am encouraged, I am optimistic, I am hopeful, and know Canada can lead the world in creating a country where Indigenous people realize their full potential. We're at a very special time also, and a welcome time in Canada, or as our people would say, Ganada. when we see the new life of springtime coming towards us. When the sun is growing stronger and the beautiful diversity of our natural world inspires our lives. Gana Goa, help me build a Canada we can all be so proud of. Nyawa Goa, thank you for listening to my words.